Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, when you look at where the Commanders are sitting at 3-6, star quarterback out of the lineup for the foreseeable future, tons of injuries, daunting schedule still, ahead of you, season's essentially done. It seems like a long road ahead of Dan Quinn, his staff, the front office, to rebuild this roster in an image of themselves, and more importantly, one that can compete at a much higher level than what we've seen this season. Quinn talked about striking a balance between trying to win now and preparing for the future. And he said, why can't we do both? And my rebuttal to that is you can't do both. One doesn't feed into the other. They fight one another. Okay? They're a contradiction of one another. When your season has gone the way that our season has gone, you can't still fight to win games while trying to prepare for the future, because it's a contradiction in itself. And as a fan, I'm over this season. Most of you are as well. You want to see young guys get an opportunity at this. They're not there yet. They're not there yet. At 3-6, they still think that they've got a chance to turn this around, which we all know is a joke. It's a farce. You've lost by 3 or more scores in each of the last 3 games. You don't have a shot in hell of turning this season around. You're going to lose by even more points this week against Detroit, but you can't tell them that. And this is why I talked about yesterday the whole notion of, I don't even know if they have come to the realization of where we are right now. That's the first step in the road to recovery, is acknowledging that there's a problem. That's part of the reason why I don't think we saw anything done yesterday at the trade deadline. They haven't yet acknowledged that the season's over. And again, we're not in the building. You're not one of the 70 guys that's working towards trying to win a game on Sunday. Those guys don't care that we're in the position that we're in and that the fans know that this season's over. They're not thinking the season's over. They're just thinking we've lost 4 in a row, but we're better than what we've put out on the field. That's what the coaching staff's telling them. We got to be better, and we're going to find a way to win on Sunday. I can't ask those guys to pack it in. It shouldn't be in their DNA. That's not where their head should be at. It's up to the staff to realize that this shit is over and start making the necessary changes. Players are going to play. That's what they do. You put them on the field, they're going to perform to the best of their abilities. It's up to the staff to say, hey, we got to go in this direction because this gives us the best chance to evaluate our situation moving forward. But in order to get to that point, you have to first live in your truth. You have to acknowledge this shit's done. The fact that they haven't even put Jaden Daniels on injured reserve yet, some sort of injured reserve, short term, long term, really, his season should be done. We shouldn't even be having this conversation. The fact that they haven't even done that, I don't give a shit that he's seeking alternate opinions. You're done, buddy. You're done this season. That should be the prevailing thought. And they still haven't even done that yet, which tells me they're still holding out hope. They haven't come to the realization in the stages of grief. They haven't come to the realization of acceptance. That's part of the reason I think you didn't see a Deebo Samuel traded. Quan Martin, moved. A Deron Payne shipped out of here. I can't say that the phone rang. I can't say that the phone actually rang, but I highly doubt that it didn't. I highly doubt that phone didn't ring, and there were certain teams just inquiring about what it was going to take were we interested? And we rebuffed those offers because we still think there's a chance, which there isn't. Here's further proof that they're not where they need to be mentally to help us get to the point that we need to. And again, there's still time. There's 8 games left. Maybe after 3 more losses, you got 5 games left. And again, I still think we can beat Miami. I wouldn't be shocked if we lost to Miami, right? Like that a month ago, that Miami game was a layup. Just put it in the basket. Now, it's anybody's guess as to what's going to happen. I would assume by the time we get to that game next week, we'll have 2 or 3 more players banged up. We'll see what the Dolphins decide to do with Tua, but we'll cross that bridge ultimately when we get there, right? The fact of the matter is they're not where they need to be mentally yet, and I get it. From a fan's perspective, we don't want to hear that shit. Put the young guys in. Let's see what we got because this season's done. That's not their approach at 3-6. They think they can turn this thing around. And here's evidence and proof that they think they can turn this around. So we talked about this yesterday, but officially it happened today because all moves are made official with the start of the work week on Wednesday. So they released the official report that Treylon Burks and Sheldon Day have been signed from the practice squad to the official 53-man roster. Okay. At first glance, that's not a big deal. As a matter of fact, cool. Treylon Burks, young, has some talent. Let's see what he's got. I'm all for it, right? I don't believe it's going to manifest itself into anything, but at least there's something that you can try to say, hey, that's a young guy that you're giving a look to see if he could be a part of the solution and not a part of the problem. I like it. Sheldon Day. Sheldon Day isn't a part of the solution. He is a practice squad player and someone that we know when this roster is where it's supposed to be would never be anywhere close near the field. I have no issues with Sheldon Day being on the practice squad. None whatsoever. He should not be a part of this 53-man roster at this juncture of the season where we sit at 3-6. Not when you've got young guys like Barber, who's an undrafted guy that you claim that you like, who is essentially a Sheldon Day clone. 6'3", 295, Sheldon Day 6'1", 294. You've got a guy sitting right on your practice squad that you should be trying to build data on. Can this guy get it done at this level or not? Let's see what Barber has. Now, you can make Sheldon Day a part of the 53-man roster, but you can elevate Barber on game day and have Sheldon Day be inactive. I'm okay with that. But the likelihood is that's not what they're going to do, guys, and you know that just as well as I do. They're not putting Barber in the game. Sheldon Day is going to play just like he did this past week against Seattle. He's going to play. And not that Sheldon Day sucks, but we know Sheldon Day isn't a part of our future. He's a stopgap. He's a Band-Aid solution. So why not find out if Barber can actually play? You move on to Trey Hawkins, young corner out of ODU, 25 years old. Okay, fine. He's now a part of the practice squad. I got no issues with it. Daryl Worley is back for his second tour here in Washington. He's 30-plus years old. He's not a part of the solution. Why is he here? You should be pursuing a guy like Asante Samuel Jr., seeing if he's interested in coming here. Why are you going and getting a veteran safety like Daryl Worley? Go find a young safety off someone's practice squad. Now, if you're not going to make that guy a part of your active roster, I doubt a guy leaves someone else's practice squad to come and be a part of our practice squad. But you can't tell me that there's other young safeties that are available on the streets right now. Hey, how about Gabe Taylor? How about you bring him on the practice squad? Shout out to Gabe. But Daryl Worley, seriously? 32 years old, 31 years old, however old he is, damn near 10-year NFL vet. Seriously? This shows me that you guys haven't come to the realization that the season's over. You're still fighting, and I get it. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page, that when you fight, maybe it's this Lions ass whooping that's coming Sunday that gives you finality, that puts you in the acceptance stage of grief. Maybe that's the one that shows you that this shit is over. I don't know how many more ass whoopings it's going to take for them to realize we got to start putting the young guys on the field. I don't want to see Chris Moore. I want to see Ja'Cory Brooks. When are we going to get to that point where that is the answer? I don't want to see Chris Moore. I don't want to see Robbie Chosen. I want to see Ja'Cory Brooks. Ja'Cory Brooks, excuse me. I want to see Jacoby Jones. Can any of these guys play? They're on the practice squad. Yes or no? I don't want to see Zach Ertz. He's done a lot for us. We appreciate it, but I want to see Ben Sinnott. I don't want to see Daryl Worley. I want to see Tyler Owens. And he's got to stay healthy. He's on the injury report. That might be why they brought Daryl Worley on in the first place. I don't want to see Daryl Worley. If Tyler Owens can't go get me the young fella from the HBCU that we brought on as an undrafted that's sitting on the practice squad. Give him a run. Let him spin the block. At the end of the day, I said all of that to say this. We are in for a long road ahead. The question is, are we driving down the same road or are we going in two different directions? And when I say are we, I'm referring to the organization. I'm talking about the front office and the coaching staff and us as fans. We've already acknowledged that the end of this season has been reached in terms of the competitive portion. That's done. For some, that left when we lost to Chicago. For others, that was after the Dallas game. For me, for others, it was the Kansas City game. For me, it was the game this past weekend versus Seattle. I was in denial. Wherever you fall on that grid there between the Chicago game and Sunday's ass kicking against Seattle, wherever you fall on that grid, you came to the acceptance point. You acknowledge that the season is done and that now we need to find out what the future looks like with this roster. They're not there yet. I get that. But are they ever going to get there? The balance between trying to win now and looking towards the future, they clash. Those two can't coexist. They can't exist mutually exclusively. They butt heads. Especially when you keep trying to tell me that these veterans have to play to give us a chance to win, but they're not affecting the game in enough of a way that's giving us a chance to win. Something has to give. We'll see if another head bashing this week against Detroit knocks some sense into them and they start to pivot as to how they go about putting guys on the football field. That's what we're interested in. No, I'll speak for myself. That's what I'm interested in at this point. Who can and who can't. I want to see Ricky Barber, not Sheldon Day. I want to see Ja'Cory Brooks, not Chris Moore, not Robbie Chosen, a couple of 30-somethings. Let me see the young fella. He's been in camp with us all summer long. He was running with the ones when we had all those injuries in the summertime. Let him get some run. Let's see what he can do. I want to see Robert McDaniel. I don't want to see Daryl Worley. Either these guys can or they can't. We're getting our asses whooped like it's the preseason. Might as well turn it into a preseason game. See what these young guys can do. At what point does the staff acknowledge that this shit is over and start giving the young guys a spin? We'll see when that takes place. Let's get to in other news, where we heard from DQ today. And we'll talk about what he had to say. But before we do that, as we always do, let's take a look at the injury report. I almost didn't do this shit. I'm like, what's the point here? But I have an obligation to those of you who are still trying to keep hope alive. Not everyone is of the mindset that the season's over. I'm still getting comments from people that are saying, hey, there's still a shot, ... For those people, we're going to still go through the process as usual. Bless your hearts. Okay. They are still currently in the denial stage of grief. And you know what? I've added 2 more stages of grief to make it a Commanders centric stages of grief. I'll give you that information down the road. Let's stick to the script though. So this is the injury report from today's practice. As we know, Wednesdays are usually pretty rough for the Commanders from a practice standpoint. When you have an older team, a lot of guys are getting vet rest days. As you can see, 3 guys on this list have vet rest days. A lot of names on this injury report that we weren't really privy to injuries from the game. Hopefully it's nothing serious. These guys just need an extra day of rest. But Terry McLaurin obviously continuing to deal with the quad, not going to play in this game. Jaden Daniels left elbow, obviously not going to play in this game, should not play the rest of the season. You have 3 veterans getting rest days, Zach Ertz, Von Miller, and Laramie Tunzel. And then when you strip it down and you just focus on the guys that actually are dealing with something, Quan Martin, hamstring, didn't know that that exists. I saw him hurt his shoulder in the game, got up slow, but did come back into the game. And Tyler Owens, hamstring. That's the one that I'm more so worried about because he needs to be out there. He needs reps. We want to see him play more. I actually think he can play. His athleticism is real, and he needs more experience playing in these games. The more reps he gets, the better he can become as a football player. You can't teach his size and athleticism. I hope that's not a real hamstring injury. I hope that's just a little tight, little sore today. Give him the extra day that he needs, and then he's back on the practice field tomorrow, and he's able to play on Sunday. I want to see him go one-on-one with Sam Laporta. Anybody else on this roster, Sam Laporta is going to cook. I think he has a chance to play with Sam Laporta. Trey Amos, hip. We saw him struggling with that throughout the course of the game on Sunday. Limited today. He had on a non-contact black jersey. So did Bill, who was dealing with some dental issues. He had some dental work done. And so he had on a black jersey today at practice, to which someone said in the comment section, Nikki Javala had tweeted out that Bill and Trey Amos both had, Trey Amos, excuse me, both had black non-contact jerseys on. And someone said, and she said Bill's was because of some dental work. And the person in the comment section said, well, it's not because he was eating through defenses. And I just shook my head, chuckled, and said, I hate people. I hate people. I hate the internet. I hate the interweb. Eddie Goldman, concussion. So I believe, no, I'm thinking of a couple of weeks ago. I don't think Eddie ever had a concussion. So he's limited today. We'll keep an eye on that. We definitely need Eddie Goldman at this point. We can't afford any more, casualties up front on the defensive line. Johnny Newton, ankle limited. Colson Yankoff, hamstring. He's missed the last 2 games. So him being limited on a Wednesday is good news. We'll see if he's able to continue to work. That's another guy that I'm saying, shit, well, let's see what he can do. Damn it. Like, I don't need to see any more vets. I want to see the young guys. Need Colson to get healthy so we can start rolling his ass out there on offense as well. And then Bobby Wagner, thumb, full participant. So pretty lengthy injury report, but not surprising for a Wednesday. This thing will be condensed significantly tomorrow. No, and especially, I guess because Jaden isn't technically on the list. He has to be on this thing. Same with Terry. Neither one of them are playing. They could really just take them off of this, but they have to put them up there because neither of them are actually on a list that would allow them to not be on the injury report. But really, this thing is Quan Martin, Tyler Owens, and then all of the guys down here: Trey Amos, Bill, Eddie, Johnny, Colston, and Bobby. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 names long. Still pretty lengthy, but that's the real list, not this thing that has about 15 names on it. It feels like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 that has 13 names on it. So, yeah, let's get to the ops and the Lions. And they have a pretty lengthy injury list here as well. Safety Kirby Joseph dealing with the knee, did not practice. That's one to keep an eye on. He's been out for almost a month now, it feels like, dealing with the knee injury. Be nice if he didn't play against us, but you know, everyone seems to come back against us. So we'll see if that happens this week. I wish we were actually good. This is a Lions team that's extremely banged up, and their offensive line really took a hit on Sunday versus the Vikings. I watched that game. Taylor Decker, their left tackle, left the game with a shoulder injury, did not return. He didn't practice today. I wouldn't be shocked if he missed this game. Their right guard, their starting right guard, Mahogany, he left on a cart. He's been placed on IR. I think his season is done. So you have some casualties on that offensive line. It would have been really nice if we could have been healthy enough to take advantage of this, but we can't do shit with their offensive line, even though it might be maybe in tatters. Pat O'Connor, knee injury. He's a backup defensive lineman. Penei Sewell, shoulder, didn't practice. He's going to be fine. He's going to play. But their backup left tackle, well, their swing tackle, Dan Skipper, also has a back injury. He didn't practice today. I think he's going to play. But again, that just speaks to the level of adversity they're facing up front. Would have been nice to have had a chance to take advantage of it, but clearly that is not going to happen. Miles Frazier, knee limited. Josh Pascal, edge rusher, back limited. Craig Reynolds, hamstring limited. So you see all the rest of these. Malcolm Rodriguez, limited. Jacob Sailors, limited. Grant Stewart. None of these guys are real needle movers. Terrion Arnold is, as a starting corner, he was a full participant. He's going to play. So again, nobody really here of note other than Terrion Arnold, who's going to play. Penei Sewell, who's going to play. Taylor Decker and Kirby Joseph and Dan Skipper are all guys that they're going to be looking to rely on. Kirby Joseph and Decker being starters. Skipper is their extra tackle that they bring in, similar to what we used to do last year with Trent Scott, right? When we would bring in the big heavy package and bring in Trent Scott, that's what Dan Skipper provides them, and he's their swing tackle. So if Decker can't go, which there is a real possibility that he can't, Skipper would be the next guy up. So that's something to keep an eye on. They're banged up on the offensive line, but we're not going to be able to take advantage of it. So that sucks. Anyhow, we get to DQ's press conference today, and he started by giving us an injury update on Jaden that really wasn't an update at all. All he said that Jaden was doing was seeking other opinions. They're still holding out hope that this thing isn't super serious and that he could somehow return this season, which, again, you've already made a mistake by keeping him in a 31-point game in the fourth quarter. Let's not double down on ass clownery by bringing him back at any point this season. His season should be done. Put him on IR. Let's get ready for next season, right? So he said he'll have more information for us later on in the week when they come up with a time frame for the recovery process and what it should look like, so forth and so forth. He talked about the mental toll that injuries take on players. And obviously the guys that are healthy, seeing Jaden Daniels go down, realizing that guy's our meal ticket, that has to have a mental toll on players. Also, he said he worries about the guys that actually aren't going to return from said injuries, guys that are out for the year, like a Dietrich Wise or a Dorrance Armstrong. It's tough on those. I've listened to players talk about being injured and how you don't feel like a part of the team. You're not with them. You're rehabbing. it just, you feel sort of lonely, right? You're kind of in your, like Sam Cosmi even talked about it when he just returned, like how you just feel like you're not a part of the guys. And that's the thing that players never want to be, is not a part of the guys, right? Being one of the guys in the locker room. So that's where you really have to check in on guys and make sure they're okay. And DQ talked about that. He was asked about Mikey Sainristil and how he felt like he was playing in year 2, and what are some of the things that they feel like he could do better and things of that nature. And I'll combine that with the next question that was asked of him, because he asked about the development of both. He was asked about the development of both Mikey Sainristil and Quan Martin. And he talked about with Mikey, sometimes he feels like Mikey's trying to do too much. You know, in year 2, you know, he went back inside to the nickel, to the slot. And because he's such a talented guy and he has the ability to take the football away, sometimes he tries to do too much. I don't think that's what it is at all, but that's what DQ, you know, went with. He said the same thing about Quan. Outside of that, though, with Quan, he said he really talked about staying square and tackling. It's amazing that they asked you about the development of Quan Martin, and you didn't once mention making plays on the football at all. Anything and everything that he talked about with Quan revolved around tackling, fundamentals, sound technique. What about making a damn play on a football, which is what a safety is also supposed to do, not just get guys on the ground? How about jumping a route? How about seeing and trusting your eyes and undercutting something, right? How about being a safety that actually looks to make plays on the football? DQ mentioned none of that because that doesn't exist with Quan Martin. That's why. I don't think the Mikey situation has anything to do with him trying to make too many plays and, you know, not doing his job. I just think he's being put in positions that doesn't highlight his strengths. Mikey was never a great cover corner. He was never a great man-to-man corner. This goes to his play in college. He was always best with his eyes keying the quarterback so he could try to jump something. He was always best playing around the line of scrimmage, getting to the quarterback, being a nuisance. He was always best being utilized as a playmaker, not as a cover corner. Yet that's what they keep asking him to do, and you're seeing the end result. I think it's just mismanagement on the part of them utilizing him and less to do with him seeing too much and trying to do too much. I just don't think you're putting him in the best positions to succeed. Quan Martin, on the other hand, I just think he's limited. I just think he's limited in what you can ask him to do. He's not what I thought we were getting. We thought we were getting a playmaking safety who could also cover in the slot, make plays on the football. That's what we were told we were getting. All we've gotten is a guy that can try and make tackles. And at one point, he was very reliable as a tackler, but also has the capability of missing tackles too. And Quan, again, forced a fumble against the Chargers, had a big tackle in that game that stopped Kamani Vidal at the 1.5-yard line that ultimately led to the Johnny Newton deflection and Mikey Sainristil interception. Quan has been a very solid tackler, but we've also seen the other side of that coin, the Chicago Bears game, where he misses the tackle against DeAndre Swift, and it leads to the touchdown that ultimately led to the comeback loss. So we've seen all of that from Quan. What we never truly see from him is making plays on the football. The only time Quan has a chance to make a play on a football is if there's an overthrow. And we keep hearing that most plays are made on tips and overthrows. While true, I also see safeties jumping shit. These safeties that we're playing against this week, and Brian Branch and potentially Kirby Joseph, if he's healthy, those guys jump routes. Those guys make plays on the football. Quan Martin had a chance in a game against Chicago earlier this season to go up in double coverage, a ball that was forced, and pick it off. He didn't, because he never does. The only time he picked something off is on an overthrow. We don't even catch tips around here. We're never around the ball when it gets tipped in the air. He was then asked about Jordan McGee, and he talked about Jordan McGee being square, his athleticism. Just keep putting him on the field. And all that other shit is cool, it's fine and dandy. Just keep putting him on the field. I just want to continue to see. And I've been a little laxed here the last couple of weeks on the snap counts, because when you get your ass whooped, I really don't care. I think we did look at the snap counts after the Kansas City game, because we were so fascinated with the first half play and we saw a lot of Jordan McGee. And I didn't look at the snap counts this week, but I'm going to stay on top of the snap counts because I want to see if these young guys are actually getting in the game or if this shit is lip service. I need to make sure that Jordan McGee is playing the amount of snaps that he should be playing. Same with Tyler Owens and same with some of these other guys that need to be on the field and not behind a veteran stuck, not getting the reps that they need to show if they can do this or not. Then he talked about Joe Witt Jr. coming down on the sidelines, versus being in the box. And, again, he said, this is what is needed for right now. He said, you can see the game better. You can see substitutions better when you're up high, but we need communication right now. We need Joe to be talking to these players when they come off the field. We need the dialogue back and forth. We need him to be engaged in communicating with these guys in real time. And so this is what we need right now. Okay, if you say so. I don't think it's going to change a damn thing, but hey, you know what? Insanity is doing the same things over and over again and expecting different results. So at least they're trying something different. I don't think you're going to get a different result, however, but at least you're doing something different. So then he was asked, why were the Commanders idle at the trade deadline? And he said, really, that's more of an AP, question, but he did say that, you got to make sure there's the right fit. He said a lot of nothing. I'll keep it nice, short, and sweet. He said a lot of nothing. Basically, I'm going to go with my inference, which is they haven't punted on the season yet. And in order for you to, I told you yesterday, in order for you to be active at the trade deadline, you have to make an acknowledgement of where you are. You have to live in your truth. Either you feel like we've got a real shot, which is what we had last year. You go for it, which is what Indianapolis and Seattle and some of these teams you've seen make trades yesterday. They're going for it. They see their situation and they think they've got a real shot. They're going for it. And then you see teams like the Jets and the Raiders that realize we suck. Let's get something for some of these commodities that we have, because we're not going anywhere. That's where we needed to be. I'm not sure that's where we are right now. He then talked about running the ball. And even though the question was more so geared towards, hey, how do you resist the urge to go away from the run when you don't have your star quarterback, you don't have your receivers, teams are loading up to stop the run, they're not respecting your receivers, and it's making it tough for you to run the ball. How do you still stay true to running the football? And instead of him kind of addressing that, he kind of went with a different approach, which was, hey, you got to keep running it anyway because it sets up play action fake. And you want the run action fake to set up opportunities to take shots down the field. Shots to who? I don't know. Chris Moore? Yeah, right. But nonetheless, he said you got that 1 yard run, that 2 yard run. It's going to suck that linebacker and that safety up, and that's going to give you a chance. No, it's not. No, it's not. Teams are having success stopping our run game with just their basic box, right? Normally maybe there's a 7th defender in the box. There's not an 8th defender in the box, though. It's not an 8th defender, but we do need to keep running the football. We do need to do that. I do agree with that. Then he talked about the balance between now and the future. And that was kind of what I led the show off with, which is, he said, why can't we do both? We feel like we can do both. We can try and win now while still, preparing ourselves for the future. And I'm like, no, those two things counteract one another. They clash. They're contradictions of one another. You can't do both at the same time with the current state of your season. Had we been a good football team, then you could do both at the same time. You could find ways to get Jordan McGee on the field while still looking to play Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu and guys like that. You could still play Zach Ertz and find ways. I still feel like they missed the mark on getting Ben Sinnott. You can't I watch football every week. You can get 2 tight ends the football in a football game. I've seen 3 and 4 tight ends targeted. The Bills have targeted 4 tight ends in a game before. I've seen it done. You can actually throw the football to more than one tight end. If you have them on the field at the same time, you can actually do that. Somehow we managed to never throw the football to Ben Sinnott, no matter how many routes he runs in a game. You know, you could actually draw up a play that gets him the football, right? Like you know you can actually run a tight end screen and throw it to Ben Sinnott. That actually could happen. But I digress. He talked about their backs being up against the wall, and you know that mindset of coming out swinging and fighting. And I'm like, that was last week. You know, when I heard this posed to him, no, your backs were up against the wall last week, right? Theoretically speaking, you know, if you go by the hopium checklist that I gave, you could still win this week and your season's not done. Theoretically speaking, you're not winning this week, though. We all know that. And your back was against the wall against Seattle, and you came out with one of the worst defensive performances we've ever seen for half of football. Sam Darnold went 15 of 15 for 290 yards and 4 touchdowns, and they didn't even come close to punting the football and made it look as easy as one could while shredding our defense for 31 first half points. There's no back against the wall. Your back was against the wall last week, and you stood there as the Seahawks took target practice. You didn't fight. You got lit up. He talked about the offense not taking what's there. He was asked about that. And I think this is a multi-layered question that he didn't really peel back layers to. He gave an example. He talked about a 2nd and 1 run where a running back didn't hit the hole and go get the first down. He stood back there dancing around and ended up losing a yard or two. He's talking about Bill. And I know the exact play that he's referring to. And I said the same thing to Bill in a moment. You can't be back there bullshitting against this Seahawks defensive front. This ain't the team to be doing all that dancing, trying to find 6 yards instead of just getting the 2 yards you need for the first down. This ain't the defense to do that shit against. And that's why they put C-Rod in, and you saw C-Rod got straight to the shits. He got in, got up the field north, wasn't bullshitting around, wasn't dancing. He just hit the shit. Some games you can sit back there and be patient and doing all of that dancing bullshit. This wasn't a game for that. This wasn't a game for that. Hit it and go much faster than slow. And so he talked about like not taking what's there in the run game. They're also talking about like Jaden. There's been opportunities for him to check the ball down, get the ball to guys underneath but Jaden, and I also think that's a byproduct of Jaden trying to do too much. Now, I do think what DQ was talking about earlier, guys trying to do too much, kind of putting on the cape, so to speak. I do think Jaden did a little bit of that this year. When your team sucks, when your defense sucks, when your offense isn't good, you put it on your shoulders to be the guy that makes the play that, you know, changes the game. And I think we saw a lot of that from him this year as well. There were opportunities where you're like, Jaden, bro, there's a check down right in front of you for 7 yards. Just take that. I get it. It's 2nd and 18, and what is 7 yards going to do for you right now? 3rd and 11 is a lot better than, 3rd and 18. Like, take the check down, bro. Right? But he's still staring down the field trying to see if something comes open. And then by the time that doesn't come open, he's hung on that read too long. Now he's got to escape. Now he's not checking for the safety valves and the quick outlets. Now he's looking to run or throw the football away. So there have been yards left on the field for sure. And DQ went down a whole different path with this question. He started talking about penalties and this, that, and the third. This offense has been disjointed this season. We'll just call it that for various reasons. Then he finished his press conference by talking about the cornerback room. And he was asked about all of the injuries, right? We saw Trey Amos dealing with a hip. We know Marshawn Lattimore is done for the season with an ACL. And so what does that look like now? What are you going to do? And he talked about the versatility of Jonathan Jones, Mikey Sainristil, and Noah Igbenogany. All three of them can play both inside and outside. So that gives them the positional flex in the event that, Trey Amos can't go this week. I expect him to be out there, but if he can't go, you have all the flexibility you need between, Jonathan Jones, who is going to play outside, right? He's not going to play in the slot. If push comes to shove, they'll take Mikey, push him back outside, put Jonathan Jones on the other side, and put Noah Igbenogany in the slot because no one wants to see Noah Igbenogany out wide. So his best position is in the slot if you're going to have to play him. So I think there's a chance that you see Mikey go outside only if there's no Trey Amos in this game. My guess is Amos will be able to go. And so you'll have Jonathan Jones on one side, Amos on the other side, and you'll have Mikey remaining in the slot. And then Noah Igbenogany, who has been a healthy scratch the last 2 weeks, he's going to be active again. And I wouldn't be shocked if you see them elevate, another corner just in the event that something happens, but we'll see. But ultimately, that was DQ's press conference. So we're going to take our first look at the Detroit Lions. That shouldn't take very long. But before we do that, let's get a word from our sponsor, Sleeper. We'll come back on the other side, take our first look at the Detroit Lions, the Commanders' Week 10 opponent. Sleeper is the best way to experience and connect over sports together. It's a one-stop shop for all of your sports needs. You can celebrate and chat in the games in real time with other users, get the fastest scores, blazing fast news and alerts right at your fingertips. Play in fantasy leagues and win real money on picks contests. So enjoy sports the way they were meant to, together. Download the #1 sports app today. Predict the hottest football stats like passing yards, receiving yards, touchdowns, interceptions, and much more to cash in on your daily fantasy football skills. Use promo code LTN and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. Sleeper. All right, so first look at the Detroit Lions, our Week 10 opponent. They're coming off of a loss to the Minnesota Vikings, and they're not happy. They're ornery right now. They're pissed off. They know they let one slip away, and that game was at home. And this is not the same Detroit Lions team from last year, clearly, right? But they're still a well put together football team. They're well coached, and they didn't forget last year. Like, no matter what happened last week, no matter what happened with us last week, what happened with them last week, they were coming into this game looking for revenge. And just as well as I do, revenge is a dish best served ice cold, and these Lions are cold-blooded. As cold-blooded as it gets when it comes to revenge. They serve it up like no one else in the league. We saw what they did to Ben Johnson earlier this season when they put up a 50 spot on his head in his return to Detroit. We saw what they did to Dallas last year when they were pissed off about how the game went against Dallas the year prior. They are coming to Northwest on a mission, and they're not going to let up on us at all in this game. They don't give a shit that Jaden Daniels is injured. They don't give a shit about our injury situation. They don't care about our perilous state right now, losers of 4 straight, lost 3 games straight by 21 points or more. They're going to make it 4. They want to embarrass us. That feeling of pain that they had last year in January when we came into their building and put 45 points on their head and sent them home, that shit hurt. They thought they were going to the Super Bowl last year, and we abruptly ended their season. They didn't forget about it, and they're coming in here and they're looking to collect on a debt that we have no money to pay. This is going to get ugly, folks. I'm just letting you know. Marcus Mariota has struggled this season to protect the football. He's turned it over in every single game that he's been in. We talked about this against the Chiefs. Can't turn it over. And we still turned the ball over twice. Now, again, neither of those interceptions I really want to charge to his account, but that's not how this works. Deebo Samuel needs to catch the football. The one at the end, trying to make something happen in a game that's 28-7 and it's already over, and he forces a ball that he could have just thrown away. But that's nor here nor there. The bottom line is every game that he's played in, he started 3 this season, came in relief in a 4th, and he's turned it over in all 4 of them. So right now, I have zero confidence that we're going to protect the football in this game. Zero confidence. We've turned it over in every game this season since week 2, right? Started the season off clean in the first 2 weeks. Week 3 against the Raiders, Mariota fumbled the football on a beautiful run on a zone read keep. And from that point forward, the floodgates have been open and we haven't been able to shut the damn faucet off. We've turned it over every single week since, most games, multiple times over. I expect that to be the case in this game versus Detroit. We can't run the football anymore for whatever reason. The pass game is going to suffer because there's still no Terry McLaurin. Deebo hasn't been as effective here of late as he was earlier in the season. It's a mess, to be honest with you. We are a team now that seems to hurt ourselves with penalties now more than before. The Lions have dynamic weapons. Anytime we see dynamic weapons, we struggle. Last time we saw a dynamic weapon out of the backfield was Bijan Robinson. He had over 100 yards receiving in that game. What do you think Jahmyr Gibbs is going to do to us? The last time we saw Jahmyr Gibbs, we couldn't stop him to save our life. In the playoff game, luckily enough for us, their offensive coordinator at the time, Ben Johnson, outsmarted himself and just stopped running the football because we couldn't stop him. I don't think we're going to be able to stop him in this game either. And also, they have a speedster at the receiver position, in case you didn't know. He's going to be able to run behind this defense and make big plays. And Williams, and we had no answer for Amon-Ra St. Brown in the playoff game last year. We have no answer for him right now. We don't have any answers for Sam Laporta. This is going to get ugly. You saw what Seattle did to us. This offense is way more talented than Seattle's offense. So if we couldn't even breathe on Sam Darnold, let alone get to him and fluster him, what do you think is going to happen with Jared Goff? I shudder to think. But again, I digress. Again, for those of you who are faint of heart, have a weak stomach, you might want to sit this game out. This one might not be for you. Okay? Because this one's going to get ugly. In here. Oh, in here. Oh, in here. Oh. Anyway, I digress. So let's get to the comment section before we get out of here. And I'm going to start it off with my guy, Thomas Arrington. T.A., thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, T.A., writes, what's up, CCT? What's going on, T.A.? Thanks for the early deposit for the weekly pick'em. Congratulations to you, my man, for getting it done again. Even with choosing our guys for the dub, we all took that L for the most part. Hashtag Hopium, getting closer to the survivor pool too. Yeah, it was crazy. Just as a side note, that there was a chance that the pool was over on Sunday last week. Everybody except one person picked the Rams. So if the Rams had lost and the Packers had won, that person would have won the survivor pool. But the opposite happened. The Packers lost, so that person was eliminated, and the Rams won, so everybody else is still in. He says, hey, I'm not counting JC out at left tackle. He's young. Hashtag give him time. Well, I mean, I'm not counting him out at right tackle. You're talking about Josh Connolly, I'm assuming. He's not playing left tackle. And we got us a left tackle in Laramie Tunzel. So I'm not counting the rookie out either. I don't think he's going to be elite. Like, I get it. We didn't draft Penei Sewell. Penei Sewell was a top 10 pick. We didn't just draft that. You know, we didn't draft a top 15 pick like Tristan Wirfs. I think he was like 13th overall for Tampa Bay. We didn't even draft that. I get it. You didn't draft the top half of the first round tackle. You drafted a back end of the first round tackle, and that's hit or miss. That's a crapshoot. But it's a first round tackle nonetheless that you decided was the best player on the board at the time. And so because of that, he needs to perform like it. And I'm not sure if he'll ever live up to the first round billing. That's all I'm saying. I hope I'm wrong on that. And I'm not giving up on the kid. You know, that's not my steez, right? I'm going to give him every opportunity to prove he can get it done in this league as a premier right tackle, right? It takes time to, you know, take your body and flip flop from the left side to the right side and to get acclimated to the speed of the game. There's a lot of transitions he needs to make. He has to get stronger, obviously. There's a lot that he has to get better at fundamentally, but I don't see the raw ability that I thought I was going to see out of him. That's what makes me feel like the upside is limited here. I could be wrong. I want to be wrong. Tribal Warfare. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Tribal Warfare writes, hey, LT. Sup, Tribal Warfare. Not a huge talker. I can tell this is like the first time I think I've ever seen your handle. Now, you could have had a different handle in the past and we've talked numerous times in the past, but this is the first time I've seen your name. He says, but we'll chime in from time to time. I'm here because I love your content and insight. Hashtag HTTC. I appreciate that. And again, me as a fellow lurker, I can definitely sympathize with you, empathize with you that, you know, you don't have to chime in like a ton. Like if that's not your thing, as long as you're here and you're listening, right? As long as you're here and you're supporting, that's all that matters, man. I really, truly do appreciate you. And I appreciate you for just coming, you know, from in the dark out to the light for a bit. You can go back into the dark again, right? But I appreciate you coming out and showing some love and some support, man. But I truly do appreciate you. Thank you so much. John Perez, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, honestly, Lou, these coaches are an effing joke. I wouldn't call them an effing joke, but I can understand the frustration. And, you know, DQ is starting to scare me a little bit because I don't know if he's going to have the wherewithal to say Joe Witt Jr. isn't qualified enough for this particular job and find new blood. I think if he does finally move on from Joe Witt Jr., which I don't anticipate him doing, not in season or even after the season. If he does move on from him, I don't have the confidence that he's going to go out here and find a young, talented defensive coordinator. I just think he's going to go with what's comfortable. A Ken Norton in the building, you know, some other old curmudgeon that he's very comfortable with. I'm not sure if our, you know, next defensive coordinator is in the building or not, but that's why they are supposed to be doing these, you know, different things to help develop these coaches, right? We talked about it in the offseason. And if that's the case, then the guy that you think is capable of taking over should be in the building. And I would hope it's someone young, right? Someone that has a different, like I'm watching Kelvin Shepherd for the Lions. We all watched what he did against the Bucks with like 50 backups on the field. And it's just impressive to see a young defensive coordinator with energy and juice get his guys to play in a way that, you know, gives you a shot to win. And again, I don't think that's Joe Witt. I don't think that's Joe Witt. I don't think that's Ken Norton. I know that's not Ken Norton. So the question is that guy Daryl Tapp? Maybe. Is he going to give him that opportunity? I don't know. But I don't trust DQ to give someone that's young an opportunity. I think he's going to play it safe. Nick, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Nick writes, people saying AP didn't draft well. Well, what if our coaches can't utilize young talent properly? That's also a part of the equation. Absolutely. Like, I don't think that these guys just forgot how to play football. You know, something like Mikey Sainristil isn't trash. He didn't just all of a sudden, you know, become awful when he was awesome last season. Like, there's something to be said about coaching and developing talent and putting guys in the right positions to succeed. And so there is definitely some validity to that. That is a real question. Absolutely, Nick. Without question. John Week, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I love DQ, but every team he's a part of has a huge boom of a start, then fizzles out year 2, then falls off a cliff. Literally every team, man. I haven't done the homework to be able to confirm that, so I can't confirm nor deny that. But you like I would assume that 2016 wasn't his first year in Atlanta. I gotta assume his first year in Atlanta was 2015. Was 2016 his first year? I doubt it. Could have been. That Matt Ryan MVP year with Kyle Shanahan could have been DQ's first year in Atlanta. But I feel like it was like 2015 or something like that. But if 2016 was his first year, then you're spot on. They went back to the playoffs the next year in 2017, lost to the Eagles that year, and this Eagles won the Super Bowl, and then they never went back to the playoffs after that. So we'll see. And I see you put with a cliff with the K. I peep game on that. Video channel, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB video channel. Writes, don't see the path of DQ's philosophy with rebuilding this team. A full vote of no confidence in him sticking with his guys and how he did 5 in the 4th. And you're not wrong to feel that way. Again, I'm all in on DQ, Adam Peters, Lance Newmark and company, but I can see a path to where I can start to sour on DQ if he doesn't show the evolution. He told us when he got here and he got this job, he learned so much from his first opportunity in Atlanta. And now this is when he needs to start showing us that he learned something from his first tenure with the Falcons and, you know, show some of the adjustments. If he starts to do some of the same things that got him canned in Atlanta, then I'm going to start to sour on him. And one of the first things I'm going to be looking for, if this defense, which I know is going to continue to play poorly, the first thing I'm going to look for is to see what he does with his defensive coordinator situation and how he goes about that. You can't be a defensive-minded coach and have your defense suck. To me, that is head coach 101. Whatever side of the ball you specialize in, that shit needs to be fan-effing-tastic. At a bare minimum, it needs to be no worse than average. Should be at least above average. That's not the case here in Washington. So I get it. Stu Vision, stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB mob. You know what to do. Show Stu Vision some love. Welcome with open arms. Stu Vision, welcome to the squad. I don't know if you're here as a mole or if you're just supporting the channel. Either way, welcome to the squad, my guy. Barrett Downing, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, my guy. BD writes, at 56, Lou, it can't hurt for me to show up and play just to get hurt rest of the season, LOL. You're not wrong. It can't hurt, right? But it does hurt, right? It hurts the rest of the team. It hurts the young guys that needs opportunities. But yeah, why not, right? Why not show up, watch this team get their teeth kicked in and their backs kicked in the rest of the season? It's not going to hurt. You've done this enough times, right? It's not going to hurt to do it again, right? Yikes. Thomas Arrington, my guy. TA, double up. Thank you for doubling up. My guy, TA, writes, DU. He says, JC, right tackle. I knew what you meant. Hashtag NBA tonight. Go get the money. Go get the money. Go get the money. Go get the money. Go get them. I love my picks for tonight too. I do. I think I got a winner on my hands tonight. But then again, there's some days where I've like, man, I picked some bullshit today. I don't think I'm gonna win. I actually feel like I got some good tickets tonight, but we'll see what happens. The Big Energy Co. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Lou, you never, ever use the phrase Chef P again. Love, King. So look, I still think this man has the ability to cook. So I'm not gonna look. Chef P right now is in the fridge. Okay, it's in the fridge. If I feel like he's cooking again, I'm gonna take it out of the fridge and I'm gonna throw it on the skillet. And we back to Chef P. If he's back in the kitchen chefing it up, Chef P will return. But for right now, all of the ingredients are in the pantry and all of the dishes are in the fridge right now. He's watching TV. He's not in the kitchen cooking right now. So, yeah, we'll put Chef P down for now. Barrett Downing, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, BD. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes? This season has crushed a lot of fans. Hopefully we get to see the squad do better. It's hard to watch. Respect. This season definitely crushed a lot of fans' spirits because you were up and you were feeling good. And again, the PTSD was still lingering. It was still looming. And you were trying to fight against those feelings and those thoughts. And then this shit happens and it makes all of that PTSD rush back to you as a fan. And it makes you start to think, are we ever going to win? Rio keeps saying, we're never going to win, bro. We're cursed. That's the type of thoughts that you want to run from. You don't want those thoughts seeping into your brain. But when a season like this happens and Jaden gets hurt the way that he did, you start to think maybe we'll never win. That's not the way I approach this. That's not my thought process, but I could understand how it could be someone's thought process. Absolutely. This season is tough because of the expectations that came with the season. Life, no life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, I thought Quan played best at slot his rookie season. I also agree with young DC. I see Brandon Staley with creative blitzes, and he ain't even all that. Young guys just see the game differently. They, much like Cliff, right? Cliff is always looking at college football for more new, creative, innovative ways to call offense. And young guys do that. They look around the league. They do different things. Our guys are, when you're old, you think about how the game used to be played, and I don't think they adjust accordingly. So you see a lot of man coverage, like Aaron Glenn struggling in New York with the Jets defensively. Why? He plays a lot of man coverage. That's what he did in Detroit. They play man coverage and they blitz. That's why Detroit wasn't all that great defensively, if you ask me, right? But they had guys that could rush the quarterback, mainly Aiden Hutchinson, and so it cleaned up some of those things. But when you're old school, you play man coverage. And Joe Witt Jr. is old school. He wants to play man coverage, and we're not built to do that. We're not built to do that. Chauncey Davis, OG, triple OG, been a member for 44 months. Salute, who writes, last year bamboozled us all. It did. I haven't heard you say relax one time this season because I think you saw the writing on the wall. I think you saw the writing on the wall. Tribal warfare. I'll say this, though, OG. If we would have stayed healthy, I would have loved to have seen what this looked like. We didn't, so we didn't. Tribal warfare. Tribal warfare. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, the regression to me is the scheme. It's hard for me to believe that these players forgot their talents. Hell, Nick Saban said of Mikey, pound for pound. Exactly my point. Exactly my point. We are right here, tribal warfare, right here. You can't tell me Mikey Samer still ain't a dog. I'm just not doing it, bro. I'm not doing that with you. He looks bad right now because of the situations and the positions he's being put in. You can't tell me he's not a good football player. They're just not utilized. You can't tell me Frankie Louvu's not a good football player. The man was an all-pro last year. He's just not being utilized properly. They're not doing the same things they were doing with him last year. You can't just tell me, well, they're treating you like a big now. Okay. So what? Find a way for them not to be able to treat me like a big. That's your job. Why so serious? Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Why so serious? Writes, Lou, bro, you are entitled to your opinion, but the staff's job is to have hope and try to win. Yes, it is. Absolutely. That's why I said they're not at that point yet. Not sure what you're suggesting other than for them to quit. I'm not suggesting for them to quit. I'm suggesting for them to put younger play. We're getting our teeth kicked in with these so-called veterans that are supposed to be giving us a chance to win. So what's the point of them continuing to stop young guys from getting an opportunity? I'm not telling you to punt on the season. I'm telling you to put younger guys in the game so we can see what they can do. If the veterans were getting it done, we wouldn't be in this position. Now, would we? So clearly they're not the answer. I'm not suggesting that they lay down and allow teams to come in here and club us by 28 points. I'm suggesting you think these young guys gonna come in here and not play their asses off? They trying to play for their NFL lives. These young boys got just as much on the line as these veterans do, if not more. They're gonna come out even hungrier, if you ask me. I agree they should be playing younger players, no other choice. That's all I'm saying. I'm not telling them to quit. But they got to acknowledge where we are. You ain't winning shit. Ertz might give you the best chance at tight end, but Ertz ain't getting the job done. He's committing penalties. He's dropping passes. He ain't getting the shit done. So put in somebody else that might be able to show us he can do something down the road. That's all I'm suggesting. Why so serious? That's it. I'm not saying you punt on the season. The season's already been punted. Glizzy McGuire, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, DQ praying on Todd Collins' run. Pack it up, Chief. That's exactly what he's doing. He's looking for a Todd Collins-esque run, a Taylor Heineke little run. You know, even though those never resulted in making it to the playoffs, it always got us back in the playoff picture. He's hoping for one of those types of runs, and it ain't happening. It just ain't. But, hey, bless his heart for trying to keep the – because remember, those teams that you're referencing, they play defense. They play defense. We have zero defense here. This team has no shot of doing any of that because you got to actually play defense with a backup quarterback. And we play none. So, yeah, pack it up, Chief. Pack this season all the way up. Anyway, I digress. That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, here on Commanders Nightly News for tonight. Really appreciate the support, and I'm loving the engagement in the comment section. Last video's engagement was tremendous as well. Keep it going. You guys have been fantastic. Looking forward to chopping it up with you again tomorrow. I'll be live tonight with Candy Waller. This is going to be a good one because to hell with the Lions game, really. I want to talk about the reaction to the Jaden injury, what she saw from the team after the game, what she saw from the team during the week this week, the mentality, the mindset of this team moving forward. And I want to talk about how did we get here, right? And Candy's really, knee deep in all of this. We've been talking back and forth. She's got a lot to say, so we're going to talk about that tonight. Hopefully you'll join us live 8:30 here on the Louie T Network for Seawall Wednesdays with Candy Waller. Until then, I'm your man Louie T. JB, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. JB writes, what's good, Lou? What's going on, JB? Hey, what happened to your NBA team last Friday? # Go Lakers. Oh, look, it might be the beginning of the end of Ja Morant in Memphis. So yeah, I don't really have a lot to say there. That shit is just as messy as this thing is for my favorite football team. So I'm just taking L's all over the place, but it is what it is. I can't say that I'm not used to this already. So anyway, I digress. You guys have a good one. Take care. See you next time. Peace.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap. Hand to Riggins. Good hole. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35. The 30.